day one of the ACC Family Day. I should say the 4-day break for those of us lucky enough to get the 4 days off. You can see behind me the POW MIA flag. This is our memorial here at JBLE. I love it. Looks like they've cleaned it up really nicely. This is where I come sometimes to collect my thoughts, or if I'm having a bad week, or if I just need a rest from day-to-day work, I'll run out here and take a few minutes to I guess more life in general. But hey, I wanted to talk to you guys about something specific this week's video, the NCO Retraining Program. I'm wearing the 548th ISR Group's shirt today. They had a fantastic week, and I told you all that on the VTC that we did with the group leadership. But really I wanted to wear the shirt today and talk to you about this topic, the NCO Retraining Program, again, because Chris Fowler, chief out there in the group, was asking me about, telling me there's a lot of NCOs, you know, talking around the water cooler, and they got a lot of questions about what exactly the NCO Retraining Program is. So I'm going to send out some details to everyone. I've got essentially an RFI into Headquarters Air Force A2, and my good buddy Adam Watson, his people will give us some specifics on this particular cycle of the retraining program. But for this video, I want to talk about my personal experience with retraining. And some of you heard this already, but a lot of you have not. In 1998, I was a firefighter. I was a staff sergeant with a line number for tech sergeant, and loving it. Man, I love being a firefighter. It was so much fun. A lot different than being an intel guy, I can tell you, but not better or worse, just different. Anyway, the Air Force decided that I was going to do something else. I had a line number for tech sergeant, and because of my time in grade, it made me extremely vulnerable to be retrained. And I will talk real quickly. The retraining program is nothing more than the Air Force balancing their numbers for the enlisted force. If you get too many of one AFSC, the retraining program balances it out into an AFSC that needs them. Otherwise, you know, you'd end up with just having to bring more people in. It just doesn't work. This is actually a tried and true method of balancing the force. Now, I can tell you in 1998, those words would not have come across my lips because I was pretty salty, I got to be honest. I had been promoted before my peers, you know, generally speaking, before my peers, and I thought, you know, I really wanted to be a fire chief. I really wanted to get good at firefighting, fire protection, and I felt like really it's kind of a betrayal from the Air Force. That's what I was thinking as a staff sergeant back then. And yeah, it took me about 18 months of being an intel airman to really stop feeling that way. Really, I was kind of bitter. And but I didn't know then what I know now, and that being an airman first is what I wanted. I didn't know that at the time. I just saw the fact that I worked so hard to get good at something, and then, you know, how can they be so stupid? This is what was going through my mind at the time. How could they be that stupid where they think it's a good idea, you know, to move me to something else? Well, you know, for me, in my case, it was the best thing that could have happened to me, and I think the Air Force. I don't think they knew that. They were just leveling numbers. But for me, being an airman first is what I've always been about. It's just I didn't know it at the time. I don't think I really internalized those Air Force core values. I know, in fact, they didn't exist back then, so I didn't know what it meant to be an airman like that. And over that 18 months, as I moved to a different job and got into the 1-0 career field, I started feeling that. I had a broader perspective of what it was to be an airman. The difference between being on the flight line, you know, coming out of my fire truck and looking across right there adjacent to the flight line, and then being on base as an intel airman and supporting those air operations. It was just different. And to have both those things, both those skill sets, gave me a breadth that many airmen didn't enjoy. And I really do think that I am where I am today as an airman because of that retraining. I never would have been able to realize what I've gained. The people that I've met, I just can't even imagine it. All the airmen that I've met in the last 17 years as a 1-0. I never want to take that back. So I'm not telling you shut up and color. I'm not telling you that NCO retraining is awesome and you should just accept it. No, I'm not going to try and BS you.
Oh, I think that proves that this is impromptu. Looks like the camera overheated and turned off there. All I was trying to do with this video, ladies and gentlemen, is to be real with you and and let you know that if you need to talk about the NCO Retraining Program, find an NCO, a senior NCO in your unit, and they'll help you get through it. Thanks a lot.